Hello and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Alkali with Alkali Bismuth.
No, that one's gonna cook today.
Oh, that one's gonna cook.
That one's gonna cook today with a blowtorch.
Oh, okay.
He's better at cooking than I am.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome to a very special holiday episode of The Dragon Show. Special as in, we decided to record this a few minutes ago, not special as in what we are baking, because today we are making a classic. We are giving you guys something to send out to your friends, family, and enemies if you own enough chocolate X-Lax. That's right, today we are making chocolate chip cookies. Now, everyone has a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Everyone is used to the normal recipe for chocolate chip cookies, so we're going to turn it on its head a little bit. Today, we are making thin, crispy chocolate chip cookies. And the way you do that is by messing with fat content. I know all about fat content, for I am Alkali. We are going to start off with 2.5 sticks of room temperature butter. This is the healthiest item that will be going into these cookies. Lord will soon follow. Before we even put the sugar in, the advantage of having it room temperature is we're going to be able to cream this fairly easily. And if you're lazy, just crank that up. Now, you could do this by hand, but then your arms would get all muscly, and you know how that looks. When you're a fat guy, you don't want it to look like you missed body day and are just working out the arms.
You ruined the aesthetic.
You totally do. It's the ratios that you want to play with. You know, you don't just work out the beating arms.
No.
That sounded wrong. All right. We just want to get the butter to a creamy consistency, nice and simple. And we're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl as per normal. Now, this next step, you're going to understand why in a little while. This is one of the last times we're going to be putting air into this mixture. We want the sugar, this beginning step, to be nice and creamy, to have lots of air in it. However, after this, we're going to try to beat it as little as possible. So, let's start incorporating the sweet. We're going to start off with 1 1/4 cups of white granular sugar. Now, I know that sometimes you would want to put in more brown sugar than granular sugar, and that would give you a nice chewy consistency. I do love chewy chocolate chip cookies. However, since today we want it thin and crispy, we're going to actually increase the white sugar and take out a little bit of the brown sugar. So this is 1 1/4 cups white sugar. Just slowly add it in. Now, I didn't sift this sugar, but I did make sure to get all the clumps out of it. Don't put clumps of sugar in. Speaking of that, here's some clumps of sugar. We're going to do 3/4 cup of brown sugar that we are going to have to turn off our mixer for because they are stuck in these things. And now here is where we're going to cream the mixture. So Xander, come on in here for a second. So
Look at that.
that's a crumbly, that's nice. What we want to do is get this nice and incorporated until there's a lot of air in it. That air is going to help these things spread later on. And that's what we're going to want. So we're going to whip this until we can tell that the air has been whipped in. It's going to turn into a creamy consistency, and it's going to have a nice light brown color. We're going to come back to you once that's ready, and I'm going to try not to eat any of it. See you soon. All right, we're back. We have creamed our butter and our 2 sugars, and get in here and show them the I locked it. So this is the color and consistency you're looking for, like a paste. There's a bit of air in there, which is what you want for this step, because that's going to help with the next one. Because next, one at a time, we're going to add 2 room temperature eggs. Now, remember at the beginning I said a room temperature butter, and now I'm saying room temperature eggs. There's a reason for that. If you cool down the mixture, they are once again going to get gummy, so we want to keep everything room temperature. Along with that, the butter at the beginning, you don't want to melt your butter and put it in here. You want that fat. That's how I'm getting this consistency. So remember, just a few hours at a time, take out your 2 eggs, take out your 2.5 sticks of butter, put them off to the side. You don't want them melted, you just want the butter at room temperature, you want the eggs at room temperature. So now we're going to add in these eggs one at a time, beating on a medium speed. We're just going to get the eggs dissolved in there, let it go for a bit, and then scrape down the sides between each one because, oh boy, raw egg. Everyone loves raw egg, right?
Everyone loves raw egg.
Especially those bodybuilders who
Yeah.
obviously got their muscles by doing this by hand. That is how everyone works out. Dragor, in fact. He doesn't work out with weights or anything like that.
No.
Very big into quinoa. That's how all of his workout habits revolve around quinoa, I assume.
And cookies, obviously.
And
since
cookies.
Raw eggs are in cookies.
Raw
so.
eggs are definitely in cookies. And in Arnold Schwarzenegger, so beat him. All right, there's our 2 eggs. Now, once again, now at this point, once the eggs are incorporated, now we're going to start to worry about overbeating. So we don't want to go too much on this. Adding to this, we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I highly recommend good vanilla extract. If you can, the vanilla, good vanilla extract.
Good vanilla extract.
Let's just go with that. Just drizzle that in there, trying not to miss the bowl.
Where do you get good vanilla extract?
You can get it most places. It'll be in a smaller bottle. It'll be a bit more expensive, and I missed with some of it. So I'm out of good vanilla extract.
Is it just named after a fancy lady or something?
A very fancy lady.
Oh, okay.
Who's that lady?
What are you looking for?
All right.
Yeah.
This is all incorporated in. I want to give it one last one after I scrape down the sides. We're going to give it one more beat, and then we are down to our dry ingredients.
Okay.
All right. That final beat, flip it up nice and stiff just for a moment. Here we go. Now to finish it off. Before, in some of these cooking shows, you've watched me add in a lot of ingredients very slowly, and that's so that they incorporate, especially putting sugars into a hot mixture. The brownies, for example, if you've watched that episode, you'll notice that I keep the molten chocolate nice and hot, add the granulated sugar a little bit at a time. That's so that it melts, that's so it incorporates. Flour is normally the same way. However, remember I've been telling you we want to be careful about adding too much air into this mixture. So this one's going to be a little bit different. We want these to spread out. We want these cookies to stay flat. We don't want a lot of air in here. So to this I am adding 2 1/4 cups of sifted flour. How many tablespoons there? A half a teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda, not baking powder. Always remember, baking soda will make something expand and spread out. Baking powder puffs it up. We want these to expand. So half a teaspoon of baking soda. And finally, the last one was about a teaspoon of kosher salt. You don't have to do the full teaspoon, but also remember, salt will increase the sweetness of it. The salt is going to block those receptors in your mouth, and it's actually going to make your cookie a little bit sweeter. It's very counterintuitive, but trust me, it works. We're going to add in the whole thing at once. We are not going to add this one slowly because we don't want a lot of air in the mixture, which is also why I took it off of the blender. And I am going to pull a Xander right here because I'm assuming this is how he works out. And we're going to start the incorporation without the use of the blender. We're going to get this going mainly because I don't want a flour nuke. If I turned on that blender right now, you've all seen it, you've probably all done it before, it would just throw flour everywhere. And that's a pain in the ass for cleaning, and my ceiling doesn't need that. So now that I've got this partially mixed, we're going to finish it off on our stand mixer. Beat this just till incorporated. Once all of that white powder is gone and it's combined, throw it up there quickly, and that is a finished cookie dough except for the chocolate chips. Now the chocolate chips, once again, you're going to want to stir those in by hand. I'm going to give the bowl a quick scrape down.
So you just make sure you can't see the white powder anymore, pretty much?
Basically, that's what you're looking for. You just want this incorporated. These cookies are going to be so thin and crisp if I did this right, which don't know if I did. We might scrap this whole video. Congratulations, everyone. They're going to be so thin and crisp that there won't be any of that, if you know what I'm talking about, that flour taste. That will not come through on these at all, because they're going to be brown on the edges, brown on the bottom. It's going to have a nice consistency, a nice crunchy texture. The perfect dipping cookie. So yesterday I made the perfect dipping brownies. Today I'm making the perfect dipping cookie. And then we're going to get cooking with this. Final ingredient. I don't use Toll House morsels. I love these things. These are the Ghirardelli Bittersweet 60% cacao. They're a little bit bigger than normal chocolate chips. For some reason, I know this is wrong, but I think they stay gooey longer. There's our chocolate chips. Mix to incorporate.
There you go.
You just want these chocolate chips all spread out nice and even like.
And then you eat everything right now.
We do not eat
Come
the
on,
cookie dough.
look at that. I mean, okay, fine, you don't.
Fine, I'll eat the cookie dough.
Don't eat the cookie dough.
Everyone, I'm gonna need you to turn off your screen right now. I'm about to sing. I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're back. Now we are doing the most boring part of any baking joint venture, putting it on the damn trays and putting it in the oven. Now, an easy way to do this is with a small ice cream scoop. However, I do not own a small ice cream scoop. I own a very large ice cream scoop, and I don't want a cookie the size of the tray. So I'm going to show you a weird way to get these nice, perfect balls without getting your hands absolutely destroyed. There's a word for this. I think it starts with a B. I have no idea what it is because I'm not a professional chef. In fact, I don't know what I'm doing, and you guys shouldn't be listening to me. Advertising. All we're going to do is take 2 spoons and using one, go back and forth to make a bowl. So Xander, bring the camera in here and I'll show you how I'm doing this.
Okay.
It's actually very simple. You take about as much as you think belongs in a cookie.
Yep.
1 spoon has it, the other one, scrape it onto your second spoon. Then going under and over. Under and over. Under and over the 3rd time, and on the 4th time you pull it off and you have a perfect little dough ball about the size that would show up from an ice cream scoop. Now, these might actually go closer together, but I don't know how much they're going to spread. So I kept it to 9 to a tray. We've got 2 trays here. They're both going to be going into a 350-degree oven. We're going to check them after 8 minutes, and we'll have to go from there. Because once again, not a professional chef, just a fat guy with a blender. We'll be right back with a fat guy with a blender. Welcome back to a fat guy with a blender. So we put him in for 8 minutes, checked him after that, and then kept checking him every 2 minutes, and then at the end down to 1 minute. That's unfortunately how I bake things because I don't know. The total on these was about 15 minutes. Now I want to show you guys 2 things. One, I didn't mention it ahead of time. I did not grease this tray. This is just parchment paper. This is just parchment paper on a tray. Parchment paper won't give that oil at the bottom. The oil would have browned the bottom of these way too quickly. Now you're also going to want to notice the color. Yeah, they're a little bit more pale on top than you're used to a normal chocolate chip cookie being. That is because of the lack of air. There's a lot of reasons for that, but this is the right color for these. Don't take them off the tray right away. You want to leave them on this tray a little bit to cool down. Right now they are fragile. They will basically fall apart, but once they cool down, you get nice, crisp cookies. And I cannot wait. Did you smell these from down there? Oh my God! No, I have so many wooden spatulas, spoons. This is a fork.
What do you do for foxes in the kitchen?
If the foxes in your kitchen, you chase them off because he ate half of the dough last time! God damn it. If you have foxes in your kitchen, always keep wooden appliances around. Right. Well, these are going to rest on this tray for about 2 to 3 minutes. After they're off the tray, move them directly to a cooling rack. I cannot recommend enough buying cooling racks.
There's a fox in the kitchen again.
He eats so much of the dough. Anything that eats more dough than I do is wrong. These cooling racks are actually something that every kitchen should have, not only for cookies, but if you've ever wanted to do oven bacon, I'll tell you this right now, if you like crispy bacon, laying them on a cookie sheet, putting it in the oven at 350, letting it sit in there for quite a bit of time and keeping the air circulating around it, it makes for much crispier bacon. There's a lot of other uses for these trays. They are not a single-use thing. Get some cooling racks. They're really good. Guys, this has been Cooking with Alkali, or Fat Guy with a Blender. A huge thank you to the cameraman, Alkali.
I'm Xander.
Damn it. I wanted you to say
Wait.
my name.
Oh no, the fox is back.
Thank you very much, Fox. There's nothing on the tray yet. That's a knife.
Oh, Fox has a knife.
Okay, I'm gonna give him the cookies.
Bye, everybody.
Have a wonderful Christmas, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year, and thank you very much for listening. Good night.
Bye.
You've heard of chill raccoon, well here's groovy fox.
That's right.
Ow.
I am an internet banana for scale.